Can you hear me?
Bueller.
Call this meeting of the Lammersville Unified School Board to order for January 7th, 2015, at 7 o'clock. At this time, everyone, please turn off your cell phones or silence them, and please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Sharon Lampel.
Here.
Shane Nielsen.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Pasa Pungchai.
Absent.
Approval and/or corrections of the agenda.
There are none.
Move we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Receiving a public comment. If anyone has any comment for anything not on the agenda that would like to speak at this time. Moving on to consent items for consideration. There are 3: approval of the governing board minutes from the 10th, approval of 2014-15 K-8 basketball coaches, and acceptance of a $2,500 donation to Wickland Science Olympiad from the Wickland School Foundation.
I move we approve the consent items.
Second.
Further discussion.
Yes, I have a couple of questions on, a comment and question. In the minutes, in section E, I think it is, the clarification on, I wanted to know some clarification when it says no discussion and how minutes are officially taken. Because in that whole section, that was about the facilities use book. And if you remember, there was a lengthy discussion where I was objecting to a piece of it. And it's in the minutes, but then at the bottom it says no discussion. So I'm a little confused by that.
I'm sorry, what section is that again?
E.
The very last sentence.
I'm sorry, I didn't turn on, yeah.
With no discussion, because I think we had the discussion before the motion, maybe?
Oh, is that,
Right. No
Okay.
discussion during the actual
okay.
motion part.
Yeah, I mean, the content is there. I was just asking as a matter of procedure. Okay.
Were there comments that were not in there? I was actually consulted on this because it was such a lengthy discussion that how much of it do you capture and how much of it, so it's kind of,
No, I read it. I thought it was pretty accurate.
Yeah, I thought all the material stuff was in there.
Yeah. Yeah. In the section on substitutes, still in the minutes, which is section G, I don't know if that part is crystal clear, because my comments were about a vacancy. Not all long-term assignments are about a vacancy. It depends. Okay, I stopped writing in the middle of a sentence. It depends on the work being done. A long-term vacancy could be a month, okay? And that substitute may not be doing all of the lesson planning, because some teachers, if they go out for some on maternity leave, will go out for 6 weeks, and they'll do their lesson planning before they leave. So my comments in that section were about a vacancy, not just long-term. So I'd like to make that correction there.
an option for you, if, totally up to you. We have that as an item that's coming for us tonight. This, correct, it's coming back to us tonight. Can we clarify that?
Well, I actually like the way it's written and what's coming tonight.
I mean, in the comments, and then it can go in the next
Oh, sure.
minutes?
Okay, yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
an option?
that's fine.
That way we don't have to go back and try and change.
Okay. Just a moment. Oh, in the consent section, item B, we have no way of knowing which coaches are certificated staff and which are what I call walk-on coaches. And why don't we receive hiring information the same way we do for certificated staff? and other substitutes.
These are like volunteers with a stipend, right?
Right, so what, as if I understand the question, we have a list of folks. Some may work for us, some may not.
Right.
And so that's one question.
And it says
is
that
you-
in the
okay.
introduction.
The second piece is that you're asking is, are you interested in receiving the same kind of background information, general application information that goes with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in future agenda items, if we have certificated and non-certificated coaches, if that could be indicated, so we know. Because in the introduction on that section, it says some are staff and some are not. But then when you look at the list of names, we have no way of knowing which are which.
We can do that.
Okay, thank you. Done.
I had a question about that specific item too, because we received, or some of us received a message about coaches for Lammersville, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to let the public know. Did we hear from one? And if not, to please let the public know, Lammersville could use a boys basketball coach. And if anyone is interested, there is a stipend, and it is not just employees that can do it. So if you know someone who might be interested in helping out Lammersville, because they wouldn't get to have a season without one, so. Have we heard from one? I don't think so.
Dr. Gill, have we heard from one?
You have a need for Wickland too?
We did receive the coaches at Lammersville, which is great. So once that email went out, looks like the community members came forward and we have those. We're still looking for a coach at Cuesta and 2 coaches at Wickland for basketball.
Maybe they need to try the same email blitz since it worked at Lammersville.
That's what we have already recommended to them, yes.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. District administrative reports. Item A, superintendent's report.
So I'm going to have Noel pull up what will be in a couple of weeks our new district website, which will replace the cumbersome, that's my term, old one. Where the one thing that's missing right now is we need the company to upload all the information from the old system into the new system. But one request the board has made, we can demonstrate this evening, which is a new addition that the old system couldn't do, and Noel is going to demonstrate that for us right now.
Okay, so this is still a work in progress. So as you see, there are some tables on top that normally the public will not see. But what we are excited to announce is for our facilities reporting. We created a online, it logged me out. Hold on. We created an online form for the community to go on and report any types of facilities issues that they happen to notice. So today I'm going to be the reporter. I noticed a parking lot light out at the district office. So I select which site. I type a brief description of the issue. My email address, so we could be contacted in case we need to for further information if we can't locate the issue that they reported. And all they have to do is hit submit. Once that happens, we receive an email in our district office for the people that are going to fix the problem. And I don't know why my computer's so slow. And this is what the email looks like. It comes to our office that Noel submitted this problem at this time, and it comes right through. And we also receive a response that our submission went through. It says, thank you for your report.
So if you recall, there was a small pebble that got lodged in a sprinkler system at Altamont, and and of course it happened on a Saturday morning, and then we're flooding the street in the middle of the drought. This would be able to go and Jim Nolan and Alvina would get that through an email system, and we would know that problem was going on before people were really, really mad that we were flooding the streets in the middle of a drought. So We're very excited about this. The two key pieces in trying to kind of use electronic medium and fast track information is to have a user-friendly, community-friendly website where we store all of our information sources. And two is the app that was presented 2 weeks ago by Padu from Entapia. And he will be coming next board meeting to kind of present again for approval some of the other mechanisms, including the fundraising. But between the website and the app, those should be the hub of information sources on top of the robocalls and emails and the like of what we do. So this has taken a little bit of time to get this website rolling. 2 weeks from now, the information will be in there, and we'll be notifying people moving forward. So we're excited about this. We think it'll be a more effective means of communicating with a better company.
More effective than Facebook? I hope the community utilizes this, because Facebook, there is no official follow-up from that. This way, the appropriate people will know about it.
If I could add 2 comments to that. One, are we going to have the facilities use application as part of that link? Yes? Okay. Because the name wouldn't make sense for me. And then secondly, I believe as much as we can provide new stuff, if we're not updating it, it's not very good. And then that's where I think we need to try to figure out a plan for that. I don't know what the current mechanism is for updating all of the websites, including our own websites, and who's responsible for each one of those. But I would say having it decentralized creates kind of some problems. I mean, I went through the calendar myself this week, and there are some schools that have nothing, some schools that have everything, and this isn't a shot at the schools or the people who are supposed to do it. I'm thinking we need to look at centralizing that function to a person. And I don't mean necessarily Noel, because quite honestly, that's not the function of a district administrative assistant. It's something that we could maybe be doing through the kids at the high school, or maybe bringing in an intern to do, or a part-timer to do. But we need to get a little bit more proactive about doing that step too. And I'd like us to look into, if we could, trying to find some way to centralize that responsibility, so we're getting consistent information out there from all the schools, all the sites, so that they're all updated.
That's my report.
Okay. And then item B, District Maintenance and Operations Report. Ms. Kaiser.
Last month, I brought to you a list of projects that were identified within the district, needs that needed to be taken care of. And Mr. Nolan is here tonight to update us on the Wickland Field and where we are with the gopher control, and the gopher control actually district-wide. So, Mr. Nolan? Thank you.
District gopher
Control.
Although, aren't they voles technically?
Some are.
Oh, voles are like this
Those
big.
are surface dwellers, aren't they?
Okay,
Itty bitty mice.
as of December the 30th, we received a report from our contractor that we hired to control our gophers at our schools. As of that date, all of our schools except Wickland are 99% clear. Lammersville may have 3, the other schools 1 or 2. Wickland, being our most problem site, was at 50%. We have done another application this past weekend, and we are planning a fumigation on the weekend of January the 17th. A good fumigation can remove half the population. Some of the tunnels have already begun to collapse, and it can take as long as 6 months for a tunnel to collapse based on the weather conditions. The contractor feels at this point that we can, with the next mowing, start to do the field repairs. Now, we have already made arrangements with our contractors to do the repairs. They were just waiting for us to tell them to go. So they have been contacted, and by the end of this week, they will start doing the repairs at our fields. The repairs will be ongoing. As we clear out more gophers, more holes and tunnels will need to be filled. Okay. Our goal is to get Wickland at 99% in March. Our gopher contractor will continue to monitor the fields throughout the year and do applications. And that's the update. Any questions?
I do have, just to clarify though, I don't know that it's responsible, or maybe if we're gonna do the repairs, maybe Wickland not get started right away. If we're only at a 50% coverage, maybe their repairs should be pushed off a little bit. I would just, here's my thing, if we're gonna pay them to do the repairs and then more work has to be done after March that's not covered under the contract, I wouldn't be happy with that. If they don't think what we're doing now won't survive through what the rest we gotta remove, then I'd say wait. Or if they're gonna say, yeah, we're good enough that if we do the repairs now and we need to do more, it'll be covered under a warranty, then I'm fine. But I would hate to see us do the repairs, the 50% be enough of a problem that we have to do more repairs and it's a new contract and new repairs. That's my only point.
We understand, and that's an agreement we have with the landscapers, and they know that this is going to be an ongoing situation. So we want to get the repairs started so we're not so far behind. Remember, Wickland is one of our heaviest used fields. So we want to start doing repairs because, you know, as soon as the weather turns, they're going to be out there.
Well, March, they'll be out there.
Yeah, so we want to get the repairs going, and then we can do it as we need to do it. Thank you.
Did you have a question, Dr. Nichols?
I was just going to say, can you talk a little bit about what the procedure is on the repair? So if you walk out there, it looks like a nice grass field. But then when you walk on it, you realize that there's ruts that have been grown over by grass. So what are they going to do to fill in the ruts, make sure the grass comes back and compaction and all that stuff? Because I think that's important for the board to know.
Okay. That's why we want to wait till another mowing, so the grass is at its shortest, so that we can spot where the tunnels have started to collapse. And basically, they're going to be using a mixture of soil with fertilizer in it, and then they're going to do seeding. They will be spreading that out and filling the gaps. And because they are mowing, the mowing will also help settle all of the soil into the spots, especially the tunnels. But they'll just keep filling them as they need them.
Right. Thank you. Anything further, Ms. Kaiser?
No,
Okay.
Well, actually, she has one exciting announcement for Friday.
I do.
We're going to be opening live on the website?
Oh, I guess I could go ahead and discuss that now. The civic permits website, we are putting in our last final touches and dates of the ability of when you can sign in to use a facility, and we will begin releasing the organizations will begin receiving emails about logging in and starting to reserve facilities. We've got the fees in there. We're adding in a few other minor questions that they need to answer. But I'm really excited because we started testing it with some of our hand calculations, and they were calculating it for us. So I'm excited.
Good to hear. Okay, governing board reports. Mr. Clement.
I attended the CSBA orientation for new trustees on December 13th, as well as the CSBA conference and trade show on the 14th and 15th. I was unable to go the last half day. It was very informative, and I believe that information will help me be a better trustee. I'm also scheduled to attend the Institute for New and First Term Board Members, as well as the Brown Act training on January 23rd and 24th. It's important to me to represent the district in the best way possible, so I wanted to take advantage of all of the training that CSBA recommends for a first-term board member. But I understand that some of that training is over and above what the district normally sends a freshman board member to, and I don't want the district to pay for training from me that it doesn't normally do. So I reached out to some corporate contacts and the Carlson family, which recently sold the sleep train. One of the Carlson family has offered to contribute $500 to the district to offset the cost of sending me to the extra training. So, Mr. President, if it's appropriate, I'd like to add that to the board minute, the agenda at the upcoming meeting to discuss possibly accepting that $500 contribution.
Sure. Yeah, Dr. Nicholas will follow up with you on that. Next agenda.
And then finally, I wanted to let the board and the district know that a group of us in the community have are in the process of setting up a not-for-profit with the specific goal of helping other not-for-profit and exempt organizations in the community. And We, on the operational side, will be focusing on helping organizations obtain and keep their exempt status and protect it. And we actually have our first client, even though we don't charge for it, the Mountain House High School Visual and Performing Arts. I reached out to them and offered our assistance, and so we're going to be helping them with their exempt application. And the reason that I'm saying this is that I would like the principals and administrative staff of the district and the schools to know that when an organization turns over and they have a new treasurer that, you know, may or may not know their responsibilities and how to get it done, that there is a resource in the community to help them accomplish the mission. That's it for me.
I believe we have a lengthy discussion about that at our next meeting, correct?
That is correct.
So we're going to talk about foundations and PTAs and PTOs and everything at the next meeting, so that'll be appropriate then.
That's it for me.
I also attended the CSBA conference, very informative. I concentrated mostly on workshops that were in the arena of the LCAP and the LCFF. Also, what was it called? Google-icious. Guy spoke way too fast for me. I'm not a techie. It's very interesting. And also professional development, teacher-to-teacher professional development, which was a great workshop. Last night, I attended the health ed orientation meeting at Mountain House High School for parents. And kudos to the teacher. What do they call him? Mr. Mack? Okay, he did a great job. He really did. And then followed up by going to the counseling meeting. And Karen Friesen, the counselor, what a dynamo, great find, Ben. She knows her stuff, she's comfortable talking about her stuff, and the kids are gonna get great advice from her. And there she was, giving the parents advice on how to support their students as they're moving along in their high school career to be ready for college. So it was exciting to go to both of those meetings. We have some phenomenal staff.
I too went to the CSBA conference, and I mostly concentrated on wellness. I sit on the wellness committee, and I went to several sessions on wellness and a lot of good ideas. I've spoken with Dr. Gill, and she's also on the wellness committee with me, and I brought back some stuff that we're going to be exploring at our wellness committee meetings. Last night, I also attended both of the meetings that Trustee Lampel went to, and I too thought they were very well run and thought they did a good job.
I also went to the CSBA conference. I went out a couple days early for the delegate assembly. During that time, our region director was elected to vice president of the organization, and I was elected to take her place as a regional director. So I now, thank you. Yeah, a lot more meetings now in Sacramento, and but it's good for us. There's a lot of new legislation coming out that the way that we can try and combat it as dealing with at the state level. So now at least Little Lammersville will have a voice in Sacramento. So I'm looking forward to that. Dr. Gill and I had a kind of an introductory meeting with the CSD's Public Safety Committee regarding traffic safety and our schools. Went very well, and it's going to be the first of many to come, so we can talk about, try and hash out some of the issues that we're dealing with. On Monday, I attended the professional development at the high school, and it was very exciting to see. It was nice to see that everything was kept in-house. Our own teachers facilitated discussions. I stayed for the morning. I went to all the made the rounds with Dr. Nicholas to the grade level meetings, and if the rest of the day was like that, huge success. I hear that there's nothing but positive feedback coming back. That's great to hear, but to watch the discussion going on, everyone, a lot of them sitting in circles and just collaborating, it was really exciting to see, and that's what we're supposed to be doing now, so very good. And then last night I went to the health ed also at the high school, and that's my report. Next item is governing board committee reports, facility use. I really have nothing to report for facility use. We have a meeting scheduled the 26th, Monday the 26th at 6:30. And action items. Item A, consider approval of Challenge Day anti-bullying program for grades 7 through 12. Staff report.
Have Mr. Faubert come up and talk a little bit about the specifics of the program. We talked big picture last time. I asked that he speak more directly to the specifics of what's going to go on with the kids.
Yeah, so the last time Mrs. Friesen was here talking to you about what Challenge Day was and why we need it in our district and some of the results of her survey that she took at the high school. Just wanted to let you know a couple more of the specifics of what it is. What it will be is it will be a day sometime in March. We have to firm up the date with the organization. They send facilitators out to do the whole day. It's not something that they teach us to facilitate, that actually come out and facilitate for us. Includes about 100 kids. And we're going to include 8 to 10 middle school students as well as kind of middle school ambassadors to come and kind of learn the language of Challenge Day. It'll include 25 adults, and the way that we plan on identifying adults is at least one person from each department at the high school. We'll also be asking for some of our coaches, some of our both on-campus coaches and walk-on coaches, if they can participate. And then for parents, we're going to look to our parent organizations to look for some volunteers who would like to come for Challenge Day. And then community leaders. And then students are chosen by teacher, counselor, and administrator recommendation, and they ask us to get a cross-section of the school, basically. You don't just invite the leadership kids to this. This is something purposefully that you invite kids from every faction at school, because it tends to change the way that the culture of the school is and the way that we speak about bullying. After the Challenge Day, we end up forming a club to make sure that the ideals of Challenge Day are carried through, and the use of the advisory period as we move forward for that Challenge Day club to kind of push information out and reinforce the ideals of Challenge Day and continue the challenges that they have taken on after they're done. I'd like to highlight that not just cross-section of school goes, but we invite students who are victims of bullying as well as students who we know to have bullied before. It is a very intense program that ends up, I've been involved with it a number of times. The first time I was a little leery because we had kids in there who were bulliers, big bulliers on campus, and kids who were very bullied. And by the end of the day, these kids were together, working together, and changing culture on campus. And when they came out of Challenge Day as friends, the rest of the school saw that, and it immediately changed the way that things went. So it's an exciting opportunity that we have, and we're looking forward to implementing it in March.
You mentioned that 7th and 8th graders are included in it. Are they included in any of the after events? You mentioned a club and other things that are ongoing.
Right. I would think that what would need to happen is, yeah, go ahead.
I can answer the 7th and 8th grade piece. What our recommendation to our school sites is that our administrators will also attend, either assistant principals or principal, like for example, Lammersville School, with the students, and then go back and start a mini club at their school sites as well. Because once students go through that training, the conflict resolution, those type of things, we want to spread that at the middle school level, especially 7th and 8th grade. And eventually, our goal is even to bring something K6, K5 as well, but we are starting with 7th, 12th first, and then going to 6 to 6, K6.
Thank you.
I'm very glad to see that we're considering adopting a program that's specifically for older children. We have some programs that are for younger children, and they are appropriate. They are not effective for older children, so I'm really glad to see this coming before the board. Thank you. And I would like to move for, okay, where's the wording on the approval? To approve the Challenge Day grade 7 to 12 anti-bullying program.
Second?
Any further discussion?
If I could just add one thing. You said we're going to recommend, I'd like it to be a little bit stronger than that, that the administration from the K-8 schools, we recommend they attend.
We recommend why they're mandated to go.
At least one from each, just my personal preference.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of second reading and adoption of revised board policies and administrative regulations. Number one is 3513.3 tobacco-free policy, and number two is 3452 student activity funds. Any further?
I actually have a question on this, and I'm not sure I'm clear on what exactly is use. I know that chewing, it's tobacco-free, so chewing tobacco is using it. Is a cigarette in the mouth considered to, when it's not lit, is that use or not?
Free zone, I think, is the operative term there. So if there's some clarifying language you would like to recommend to make it more clear that just, or not, this came from CSBA, so it's pretty much one of their recommended verbiages. But at the same time, if you think there's something more specific, bottom line is don't chew, don't smoke, don't put it in your ear, keep it out.
Okay, that was just a question. I actually did have, I understand that it's the recommended verbiage, but I do have a recommended on page 19 of the packet. Near the bottom of the page, it states, any other person who violates the district policy on tobacco-free schools shall be informed of the district's policy and asked to refrain from smoking. And I would say, even though that's the recommended verbiage from either state or county, that it should say something like using tobacco products instead of specifically smoking.
Trustee Clements, which page are you on? Because you said 19.
It's
And 19
Page
is the
19
next
of,
one.
19 of the packet. You said 19 of the packet.
Yeah.
Oh, that is. Yeah, 17 or 18 is the tobacco policy.
It's actually 19 on the electronic portion. It's page 17.
Thank you. Okay.
Sorry about that.
I just wanted to follow.
I'm trying to
what
be
you were.
organized and say what page I'm on, and I'm screwing everybody.
I'm right with them. I see 19. I'm right.
Yeah. No, I got it.
19 of
Thank
the
you.
PDF, right. Okay, so
But I
bottom
happen to agree with them. If they're chewing tobacco, we're going to say, but don't smoke. I happen to agree that the language change is appropriate. He found it on page 17 under enforcement and discipline. It starts with any employee or student who violates the district's tobacco-free policy shall be asked to refrain from smoking. It's about 2/3 of the way down on that page.
And there's very similar wording in the next paragraph after the CFs.
Which I missed that one.
But it's the same thing.
So we would like the verbiage to be changed to using any tobacco products?
Refrain from tobacco use and shall be subject to disciplinary action as appropriate. Would that work? So I think use in both sections.
Do you have that? Yes.
Okay. Are we done with that one? Because I have a comment on the next one.
Anything further on this one?
Okay, this is why you confused me, because page 19,
The actual page, 19.
the actual page 19,
21 for you.
I'm not very comfortable with the definition of the hard sell. It says, and/or solicitation of personal information. I don't think solicitation of personal information and the assemblies are two very different things. I don't have a suggestion yet. I don't think this addresses what our concerns were completely.
They're two different things, but they can both be,
Yeah, the way that I read the policy was either one is what we're trying to avoid, right?
Right, and it says and, so
if we make
if
it
we add or.
and/or?
And/or, yeah.
Okay. You got that, change it to and/or?
Okay. And
Everyone's in agreement on that?
Is it also on page 19? Wait, let me find this. On how often, well, just let me ask the question, why are we limiting when fundraisers can be submitted to the board for approval?
I think the thinking was, based on the discussion, is that we wanted to have, get everybody organized at the beginning of the year and open the door for people when new things came up. But we didn't want it so open, or at least that's what we picked up from the discussion, that it was open at any time, all the time. If the board wants it that way, it's not a problem to change. My read on it is that we wanted to have periodic opportunities for people to bring forward additional fundraisers. Obviously, with 2 new schools, you're going to have the establishment of new things and the like this year, but as you get into an established system where the schools are living in perpetuity, you've got, we do need to try to have the organizations to some point where it's like, okay, we need to collect the information now, because what we run into is, the last minute stuff. So that was our attempt to keep it open and keep it organized at the same time.
And also for these, if they're going to use a facility, we're asking that they try and do it in the beginning of the year also for the facility use agreements.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
I move we approve and adopt governing board policy and administrative regulation 3513.3 and board policy 3452.
As amended.
Both as amended.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, consider approval of new fundraisers for Mountain House High, Bethany, and Lammersville schools. Any further report?
No.
I appreciate having the full list and the new ones highlighted. That made it easy for me to understand what was coming to us.
I second the appreciation. Move to approve the new fundraisers for Mountain House High, Bethany, and Lammersville schools.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D is consider approval of independent auditor selection for 2014-15. What is it? How do you say it? You know it? Chichella and Okanaga.
Sorry.
LLP.
CNT.
Yeah, that one.
CNT, there you go.
That report?
This is a perfunctory, systematic, procedural thing.
So moved.
Nice.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E is consider approval of audit certification form for the annual audit report ending June 30th, 2014. Alvina, anything further?
I think I did want to point out, with new auditors, sometimes they have different opinions. And as you know, we received a $52 million shortfall of funds for the high school. And the auditors that we had previously had suggested that I book it as a deferred revenue and recognize the expense, the revenue as when I spent the money in each year. When we had Chichella and Tukanaga come in, they considered changing the possibility of how that was reported, didn't make that change last year, but this year decided that maybe it shouldn't be recorded the way it's recorded. Let's have you do it this way. And in the report, there is a statement saying we want to adjust how that's being reported. So there is a request to do what they call a restatement of ending fund balance in Fund 25. So that's the only notation made. But as far as the internal control processes, everything was clean. There's no audit corrections necessary to go to. We were clean.
I wonder if that-
ASB,
I wonder if that has anything to do with that Senate Bill 858 that's coming. Because
possibly.
they might look at that as additional revenue.
That's possible.
Because that was one of the discussions that we had, and we'll talk about that when the item comes up, but okay. Understood.
Okay, I'll move for approval of the audit certification form for the annual audit report ending June 30th, 2014.
Second.
All right. Pombo got it. Any further discussion?
I did want to point out that, you know, as a CPA, it is very common for one, unfortunately, GAP or GASB is judgment. There is some artifice involved, and it's very common for one audit firm to say you have to do it this way, and then you hire a new audit firm and they come in and they go, no, you can't do it that way. And so I can totally empathize with that.
I figured, watch us go back 2 years and have me change it again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F is consider approval of Governing Board Resolution 141506 on local reserves cap, Senate Bill 858, Section 27, California Education Code 42127.01. So this was something that came about from the CSBA conference. During the delegate assembly, CSBA has taken a very firm stance on this, and they're asking that all boards pass this resolution. And further, they're asking that every individual board member sign an affidavit that they plan on sending to Sacramento, asking for a repeal of this Senate bill. And this has to do with reserve caps. And in essence, this was something that was passed along with Prop 30 and then was kind of hidden in Prop 2, where anything that we have, they're going to go back and they're going to only let you maintain a certain reserve, and everything counts and was explained to us, including construction money. So if you have money set aside that in our eyes is earmarked, the government's gonna look at it and say, or the Sacramento's gonna look at it and say, well, no, that's actually a reserve, and try and take it away. So the rumor, kind of the talk right now is that it's gonna be repealed, 858's not gonna follow through, but we need to pass this resolution to show our displeasure with it. Anything further from staff?
No.
Move to approve Governing Board Resolution number 14-15-06 on local reserves cap, Senate Bill 858, Section 27, California Ed Code 42127.01.
Second. I had the hard job.
Any further discussion?
I just want to add that one of the reasons we need to be talking and making sure we're all getting our voices up about this is we have construction money that we need to be getting, that we're supposed to be getting, that we're holding for certain things at future school sites, current school sites, and if this goes against our reserves, added to that, the state has not passed a construction bond in forever. If we start putting money away to try to do construction with it, they're going to count that as part of our reserves and take money away from us. So if we're forthright in our planning, the state's going to punish us, and that's just not something I can sit with. So I'm glad we're voting.
That's exactly what's coming out of Sacramento, is the governor's made it very clear, is he wants to get out of the construction bond business, and he wants local boards to pass their own bonds, which,
But then punish us by taking away our money,
and that too.
counting it against our reserves.
Yes.
And this will have an effect on anything that a school district would put monies away for. Our
right.
textbook money, we don't usually have enough money in 1 year for textbooks. So you accumulate money over a few years and build up that fund until you can buy for several grades all at once. And this would put an end to that. We'd have to spend what we have every year, which is not productive.
And I didn't want to step out of line and do the person, I mean, because they did ask us, not only as a board, but as individuals, is there a consensus of the board that,
Oh, I'm going to sign it.
Yeah, and that's something that as an elected official, you have the right to do. You can make your own position known on that, and that form is on CSB's website. Please download it.
Absolutely.
Sign it, send it to
I
them.
fully intend to?
Yeah, and if, our first board meeting is coming up in February, so if you get it to me, I'll take it up. So we have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Information discussion items. Oh, thank you. Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Aye.
Colin Clements.
Aye.
Sharon Lampel.
Aye.
Shane Nielsen.
Aye.
David Pombo.
Aye.
Thanks for having my back, brother. Information discussion items. Item A is committee participation. So this was something I had asked to be added. I just want to kind of formalize a process. We haven't done this in the past. Is we've had some board members that kind of help out on committees. We now have a board-run committee. I just want to kind of memorialize this, and I kind of spoke to the board members individually, and one of the powers of the president is to appoint to the committees. So I would like to do that at this time. So for the Facilities Use Committee, Trustee Nielsen and myself will continue on that. The District Advisory Committee is going to be Trustee Lampel and Pombo, who both have already kind of been involved with that one. The District English Language Advisory Committee, DLAC, will be Trustee Lampel and Trustee Clements. And then the Gate Art Music Committee, which is kind of a new committee that the district's getting off the ground, will be Trustee Pombo and Trustee Clements. And then there was one that's not, two that are on the list, the Safety Committee, I will continue with that. And then the Wellness Committee, Trustee Pombo will continue with that as well. And with the exception of the last two, all these other committees will be having meetings in the evening to accommodate the board's schedule. My hope is that with our participation with these committees, we can have the opportunity during board reports to report on what's going on so the public can hear some of the great work that's happening within the district.
Could we go through who the district contact is for each of these committees, so we know who we're working with?
DAC will be the superintendent.
Yes.
DLAC, is that?
Yes. I think me.
I think we can use
Yeah.
superintendent for everything.
Use,
Oh, okay.
use me and then it'll funnel out that way, yeah.
Okay.
It's probably the easiest way.
Sorry, I'm used to a big district where.
And Mr. President, if I could at this time, I'd like to ask ask if we could discuss. I think these committees serve a great function, and I think the Facilities Use Committee showed what these committees can be. And one of the things I was talking with some members of the community about not too long ago was, in our K-8 schools, we've done a good job of trying to build after-school programs with what we have, but we're really lacking in those programs, particularly the gate and stuff we're going to be addressing. The fact that we only really offer 2 after-school sports programs at our K-8 schools, to me, feels short of the mark. And they're all indoor sports. We're not offering any sports programs for outdoor sports. And what I'd like to try to do, now that we have a high school, is see if we can't find a way to coordinate between the K-8 schools and the high schools additional sports programs. And I'd like to find out if we could talk about either creating a committee, whether it's a board committee or a community committee, to address some of this. Because the fact that we don't do things like soccer, lacrosse, flag football that are relatively inexpensive outdoor sports, they could also get increased participation. Because if you think about it, between volleyball and basketball, you're getting 20, 25 kids per school site. With these other sports, you can build so many more teams because you only need 4, 5, 6, 7 kids to be able to do those things, or 10 at the most. And more facilities to use because you're not competing over the same gym. I'd really like to see us address some alternative sports programs. I'm sorry, a cricket program would be so popular out here, I don't think we'd know what to do with it. I think we need to be talking about other programs, outdoor programs, and sports programs, and I'd like to see us either form a committee or talk about forming a committee to address some of that.
I want to learn how to play cricket.
I do too. I watch him at Wickland on the
The truth
weekend.
comes out. That's why he suggested it.
It just looks so, I look at it and I go, I have no idea what's going on, but this looks so exciting.
You can find out the true meaning of a sticky wicket.
Yes, that's exactly true.
So I think it would be most appropriate to have that come from the district and have a board member or two sit on that. Is that something that the district would be able to do?
Yes, let me think about if there's some other things we can add to it. That's I think that what works for the Gate Arts Music Committee is that it's similar but multiple things together. So let me bring forward something in a couple weeks and for the board's discussion.
Just to bring it up. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay, information. Item B is a facility use handbook.
This is simply the proof. The proofreading was done. We took all the feedback and we put it forward. We wanted to give the board a final look at it because of all the changes. So this is just what we put in after all the feedback.
I wanted to say that the discussion was so long and so many issues brought up that the staff did a great job of putting in I checked in all of my comments. I'm assuming the rest of the board did theirs as well. And not a single one was missed that I know of. So great job.
So kudos to Noel and Alvina. They did the lion's share of the work.
We had brain pain for a while after that.
So, I started going through it, and I'm not gonna bring up the things that I found. Most of it's like grammatical. I had my sixth grade teacher hat on, sorry. So I'm gonna finish going through it because we had agreed that as things came up, bring it to the committee and it would be rolled in next summer. So I will take some more time being the sixth grade teacher and I will give that to Mr. Balzerini.
Sounds good.
Echoing what Mr. Clemens said, I don't, and perhaps I'm the only one who feels this way, I don't feel that the high school track use met with the understanding that I had of those plans. Because reading the high school track use, it prohibits weekend use. It doesn't allow for it at all. It says it's open 30 minutes after school. And that would mean no one gets to go on Saturday. I'm also personally not comfortable with the language with regarding to excluding use. I agree that if there's a student function going on and anything that's going on might prohibit that, that's fine. Where I draw the line is to say, again, and I would point to, if he were here, I would talk to him about it, Coach Mack telling the public not to post videos of our team because people were scouting. So if he doesn't want people in the stands or walking around the track because they're scouting, to me, that's not an appropriate reason to exclude the community. And I would worry I would like that phraseology, at least at some point, to be discussed and a little bit strengthened about what it means to be involved and interfering with school use. I do know the principal has a different take on it, and I do think that it merits more discussion than we had, and maybe that would be something that could be addressed at a committee level into the future. But right now, I'm concerned the language, it doesn't allow for weekend use, and I don't think that was the intent.
No, that was not the intent.
So-
Because
I'm not sure if
Saturday-
we have gates. I'm looking at Mr. Nolan. I'm not sure if there's gates around that track that would need to be unlocked and locked, sunset.
It's absolutely a gate,
Yeah, the high school.
yes, at the high school.
There is.
Not the Altamont, the high school track.
Correct. So I don't know
If
if
it's
we don't
locked.
have anyone on a Sunday to unlock and lock that
And I've
gate.
seen, but we talked about, there was someone there Saturday, so one of the first duties they would have would be to open the gate on Saturday and close it at the end of the day. And again, if you read this, it doesn't tell the community that the track is open on Saturday. That's all I would say, is that there needs to be something that'll point that out to the community who would want to use it, that it is available.
And that is definitely an oversight.
And I get what the point was, because that was what we all talked about. Wasn't gonna be morning use because we had 0 periods, that was gonna be after-school use, but I do think that something needs to be added that it is available for use on Saturdays.
Right, and
Really, if it's just any time it's unlocked, really, I think would be a way you could put it, is if it's unlocked and not in use, not restricted, it's open for use.
I think I like that, the unlocked.
yeah, I mean, that was the reason why we went to the Saturday custodian, was to facilitate. I mean, that was one of the main reasons why we talked about that.
And Trustee Nielsen bringing this up reminded me there was one thing that's not just grammatical. On page 4, there's an underlined section that says, except calendared school holidays. So does that mean that they can't use the fields on Labor Day weekend?
Yeah.
Good point.
So it said, facilities are available for rental from September 1st through May 31st of the school year, with the exception of calendared school holidays.
Yeah, and I'd imagine that
mean
would
we
only be
don't-
indoor facilities couldn't be used on calendared school holidays.
Right, but it doesn't say that.
Correct.
I hear you.
We
and-
missed that the
yeah.
first 2 rounds. Okay.
Why this is a living, breathing document.
Yes.
You get a chance to go through this and
Alvin, if you can just make those notes and then put them on the agenda
will
for
do.
the committee meeting.
Yes, I will.
And 26, we can bring those back up, and hopefully between now and then, we can, and I guess that's a request I have for the board, is please, again, at your leisure.
And do we decide on we added a community member to the committee? How do we?
Well, we're going to have discussion at the meeting about that. I'll put
Perfect.
that on the agenda, yeah. So for the board, if you would, please, again, go through and try and proofread and let us know if you see anything that we can, modify during the committee meeting. And I guess for the public also.
And I would just like to thank the members of the committee, Directors Kaiser and Nolan, and Trustees Balzerini and Nielsen for all their hard work on this document. I know it was a lot of work. There were a lot of meetings. I went to some of them, and I know a lot of things were covered, and I just appreciate all the effort that went into this document.
And the
Ditto.
changes that, yeah,
Yeah.
and the changes that we note by far are not criticisms, they're to help.
Exactly right.
No. And yeah, we'll get there. We'll continue to work on it, make it better. Any discussion, any further discussion on that? Oh, okay. Item C is substitute teacher salary schedule effective 12/16/14.
This is just, there was a significant recommendation for a shift in it. We wanted to make sure it met the spirit of the discussion from the last board meeting.
Wait, I gotta get there. There are disadvantages to doing the electronic one. I think we need to add something to this, so anyone who reads it understands that only substitutes who hold a full teaching credential may serve in any classroom more than 30 days during the school year. You know the rule that I'm talking about, because that's not clear here. Again, to the public, a substitute is not a, quote, real teacher, but there are plenty of substitutes that do hold regular teaching credentials. Those are the only people that can be in a classroom more than 30 days, and it doesn't matter if it's consecutive or intermittent.
But is this, I mean, this is a compensation schedule. Is this the appropriate place for that, or is that found somewhere else?
Well, it's common within the system, a 30-day permit, but I think what she's just saying is so for a person with a 30-day permit, it gives them a piece of information that would make things clear.
Right, because that section isn't for all substitutes, and that's
So
addressed
you
in
feel
here.
it should be addressed in this
I do.
document? Okay.
I do.
So, okay. So we
So,
can just
yeah,
add it?
it was info and discussion, that's all.
Okay. As far as these requests, this can be added?
Yes, it can. We brought it forward for action, and what we did say we would bring it back, and so we have, so we can add it. I don't think this changed the spirit of the salary schedule, it's just an information item in addition.
Right, okay. Did you want to see it again after it's done?
It can be emailed to me, it does not have to be an agenda item. Right, right, and again, like you said, it's informational.
Okay. Item D, high school enriched bell schedule.
So Mr. Faubert is going to present, I really think, a very healthy process that he and his staff went through, and a shift to their bell schedule, which will be in the best interest of all this future Mountain House High School Mustangs that are coming forward.
So, just like any new school would, we're kicking the tires and we're seeing how things are working. And as we kick the tires and see how things are working, the biggest issue that we see going on at our school is how to intervene with students who are not making it, especially within the mastery-based model that we have established at the high school. We base it mastery-based, meaning we kind of expect you to finish Unit 1 before you move on to Unit 2. And if you don't get Unit 1, you don't just get an F for Unit 1 and then move on to Unit 2, because you need to know Unit 1. So when kids get behind, we need to find ways to intervene with them, as well as opportunities for students on the other end of things. Currently, our bell schedule offers, and the board has supported, a 7-period day for students involved in special programs like band and choir and Project Lead the Way, and kids who need academic study skills and things like that. So, but kids who are currently taking a 7-period day have to go to school starting at 7 o'clock in the morning. And you should see some of those kids at the end of the school day who then go on to sports sometimes. So we racked our brains and we talked to our friends over at El Capitan High School, who have a different kind of schedule that we, when we went to visit with our department chairs for a day, our department chairs opened their eyes and said, yeah, we want that next year. So this is modeled after El Capitan's model, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what it is and why we believe it will be successful implementing it next year. So again, we're trying to find a way to provide the maximum benefit for enrichment, extension, and intervention for all students. So we want to have an appropriate start time. A lot of the research says that the later you start, or the later you start school, the better kids will be able to perform during the school day. and to have an opportunity for students to take more classes in areas of interest and bolster those elective courses that we've got, embed opportunities for enrichment, and find a way to really coordinate intervention that follows the response to intervention model, which reviews progress of students on a regular basis and places them in interventions that are targeted to their areas of deficiencies. So the details of this schedule, and you'll see the schedule, and I know that you have some information in your packets, and some of it may be a little bit of gobbledygook to you, so I'll try to make it seem as logical as possible. Currently this year we have a 6-period day with an extra 7th period we call 0 period. What would happen with this day is we would go to an 8-period day that starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, so 15 minutes earlier, and ends at 3:30 in the afternoon, and that's 7 minutes longer than we currently have it. So that's 7 academic periods that are 48 minutes long, and 1 30-minute intervention period during the day. Students being only required to take the normal 6. So what happens is, if a kid who is on track, getting good grades, doesn't need intervention, won't need, and doesn't want to take an extra 7th period during the day, they take 6 periods, and there's a possibility for them to have a flex period during the day. This would be a time where they check in. We actually have a system that we're using for attendance, a tardy system that we found a lot of other opportunities with, that where kids could check in to their flex period, go to the multi-use room, where the student ASB room that we have built in the front lobbyway there, we're going to furnish and make into a student lounge. There's other opportunities for students during their flex period for special speakers to come. So extension opportunities also. Kids who have 6 periods a day and are on track, it could be an extra period for them to study. It could be an extra period for them to work on projects of their own. At El Capitan High School, they have what they call 20% projects, and they got that from Google, where 20% of Google's workers' time can be spent on working on a project that they're passionate about. That's where Guru came from. Guru came out of a 20% project. And so encouraging kids to do things like that. So again, kids only required to take 6. Students who are academically behind, and we already know they are, we would require them to take 7 periods a day and put them in an academic support class. Students also who are on track could have the opportunity to take 7 periods a day and enroll in those special programs like visual and performing arts, Project Lead the Way, culinary arts, leadership, journalism, yearbook, all of those fun programs that a lot of times those kids super focused on getting their UC and CSU requirements done don't get to take, because they don't want to go 0 period, and they want to make sure that they get all the things in that they want. So a 7-period day, and just like we are this year, we're not going to be saying, yeah, it's an extra period so you can take another pre-AP class. No, this is a extra 7th period for a special program that you're involved in. It also, for the students who need it, builds in an intervention 30 minutes a day. So basically a schedule would look like you go 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th period. 5th period is intervention, that's 30 minutes. That intervention period would be determined on the RTI model of looking every 4 to 6 weeks at a student's schedule and looking at their grades and determining where is their largest area of need, putting them into a teacher's classroom, because during intervention all teachers are in their classrooms. It is not an extra prep for teachers. They're just in their room offering support as they usually do. Right now, teachers are offering support through office hours before school. Some of them take their lunches and support students, and sometimes it's after school. And we found that it isn't as effective at those times because students aren't required to be there. Teachers are trying to find extra time in their schedule. So building a time into the schedule of the day where teachers are available for students, where students have to be there and teachers are there already, it targets that intervention for students. Additionally, during that 30-minute period, those students who are not receiving intervention during the day get an extra long lunch. they get an hour-long lunch. I talked to our food services director, and she was over the moon about this. She started talking about talking with the culinary arts teacher and having some of her students, because if you didn't know it already, food services can hire students as employees in the kitchen. She said we could train the kids to work in the kitchen. They could come in, and as you know, if you've been to our kitchen, it's designed in a way that allows you to have different kinds of food in different areas. And right now, with a one lunch and all the kids coming at once, it's very hard to serve in that way. And she said, man, making the lunch spread out with some of the kids coming at one time and some of the kids coming at another, we could diversify the options for the kids. We could do some really cool things. The culinary art kids can come in and cook. So there's all kinds of opportunities there. Likewise, with an 8-period day, 7-period academic day, teachers still do not teach more than 5 periods a day, which offers the opportunity for us to provide one collaboration period per day for each department plus their prep period. What this does is it honors the teachers' time, and it gives them an opportunity for 48 minutes a day as a department to collaborate around units of study, to collaborate around the immense gap that they have sometimes in their technology skills, to talk about how individual students are doing, how the unit worked that day. Just the opportunities for collaboration are endless. So having a teacher with a 48-minute period a day collaboration period would mean the high school would not have a Friday early release day, because they would have their collaboration embedded into the schedule. It would just mean that one of the periods during the day, we would offer no English courses during second period, for example, and all the teachers would be in their collaborative groups. So even though we would not be having early release days, we acknowledge the fact that as a district, we're brand new at the K-12 articulation, and we need time for that. When we did the minutes calculation, with an 8-period day, people say, well, you're decreasing the number of minutes per period, and you're going to have to make up for that in your minute calculations. We actually did the calculation with an 8-period day. Because all of the students are at school during all 7 periods, we can actually count all the minutes for all 7 periods, and it ended up being actually more minutes per year. We have to meet 68,500 minutes a year. Is that what it's at the top? I think it showed that we got 64,500, and I think we ended up with 70 some odd. I can't. It's not in front of me. Yeah, it is. It's not in front of me, but so we meet the minute requirements, and it's a great opportunity for us to really. The more we talk about it, the more excited we get about the opportunities for differentiation and extension opportunities. So that's the details of the schedule itself. So intervention specifics are listed up there. I won't go through every one of them, but basically, depending on what kinds of grades you have, we'll put you in different categories. A category of you don't need intervention, a category of you might need some intervention, and a category of you need intensive intervention, which is the RTI model if you know anything about it or have studied about it. It also shows that it's fluid intervention groups. So if a kid is struggling and they're assigned to the 30-minute intervention period and they really work their tail off to get out of there, they can. They bring their grade up and they have an hour-long lunch during the day. It provides real opportunities for students to be motivated. Nobody wants to miss out on an hour-long lunch. And so being motivated to get there is one way. This is one way to do that. The other thing that El Capitan does that we believe was really useful is that freshmen at the beginning of the year, no freshmen get the hour-long lunch. They automatically go to a 30-minute intervention period, and this is magic too. They're coming in without having been part of the one-to-one environment. There is so much to learn about managing time in this new learning environment. There's so much to learn about working your Chromebook and Google Documents and all of the applications that we're using. And the first 6 weeks of school can be used for all of our freshmen during intervention time to be oriented to the school. Awesome opportunity for students to really be integrated into the school community. We still have an advisory, and all teachers will be involved in that. And our intervention coordinator would provide support to assign students to the intervention groups on a regular, either 4 to 6 or 6 week period. I talked about a lot of those things. Huge flex period opportunities, food service options, peer tutoring, daily collaboration, all of those things. And that is what a sample normal day would look like for students. That's pretty much, that's our plan. And we're going to be making course selections coming up here in the coming weeks. By the end of January, our sophomores will make decisions about what they're taking next year, and then our freshmen will make decisions, and then we'll go out to our 8th graders and they'll make decisions. And so this will be a big part of that, and we'll be looking forward to really helping kids get the most out of their high school experience. Oh, the one last thing I wanted to mention was the partnerships with Delta College. There are opportunities here where kids, if they have a flex period during the day and we're able to schedule it at a certain time during the day in their schedule, and they've got a Delta College class down the street, that if we schedule their flex period during 8th period, then they're out at 2:42. They can make it to the 3 o'clock class down the street and not have to worry about missing school. So more opportunities for that as we build our partnerships with Delta College.
Go ahead, David.
I had a couple of questions. One is a bit off topic, but you mentioned course selection for next year. When will next year's seniors have a chance to?
So as soon as we come out with all of this information, so all students will get information in about 2 weeks is our plan, to get all that information out so that all students, 8th grade, current 8th graders, through our potential seniors next year will get information about what the program is. Our department chairs are putting together the last touches of our course catalog so that we can publicize to seniors what it is we have the ability to offer next year.
Okay. And my other question that's more on topic is, with the flex period and or hour-long lunch, are we going to have discipline issues if the kids have nothing to do for a half hour in the middle of the day?
So that was the first question I asked the principal at El Capitan High School. El Capitan High School is in the city of Merced, who has a very different population than we do. They tend to have a lot more discipline issues at their schools. And I said, we're gonna have tons of discipline problems then. He said, think about it. Which kids have a flex period?
Usually not the ones in trouble.
Right, exactly. He said, and they've been doing this for 2 years, and they have some serious gang issues at their schools and drug issues and things like that. And he said it hasn't been an issue at all.
I had thought about the fact that if kids are, getting a 3.0 grade point average, they're less likely to have issues, but also the idea that if there's kids milling around during school hours, it makes it that much harder for security or whoever else to tell which kids are supposed to be out there and which kids
and we've already discussed that, and a real simple way is we require students to wear IDs. A kid with a flex period would have a silver ID, and a kid without a flex period would have a blue ID. So if you're walking around with a blue ID, then we know where you should be.
Do they get a new ID every semester?
No.
But what
They
if they
have a
get
flex
out of it?
period all year.
Right.
What if they get out of intervention?
They're in intervention
Also, is it
first
a
semester,
sticker?
not second semester.
Well, we can print a new ID if they end up going into an academic support class. Yeah, that's not a problem. We have an ID printer in our office. Yeah, that's not a
I
problem.
particularly like what I heard about the freshmen having orientation the first 6 weeks, because that came up as a concern from parents in the health ed class last night.
Yeah.
That how do students learn about who to go to in a high school? High school's a little overwhelming. I mean, I went to a high school of 5,000 kids. Mountain House High School's this big right now.
But still, kids
And I
can
was
get lost, yeah.
Yeah, I was lost. I didn't know who to talk to or where to go, so I love that idea. I don't have any other comments. You and I have talked about this.
Just real quickly for me, if I could, do we anticipate, have we discussed any union issues that might come up with regarding this schedule?
We have, in fact, first of all, this came from our teachers. When we went to El Capitan, they saw the schedule and they were like, why aren't we doing this? And so we brought it back and we sat down with union leadership and presented the whole plan with them, and they,
Excellent.
yeah, they were fine with it.
I liked it either way, just needed to know fact.
I really like the schedule, but I'm going to ask an off-topic question also. As far as the intervention, what are we doing about getting the parental support with the intervention and making sure that, you know, not only what's going on at school, but making sure that the support mechanism is set up at home?
That's a good question. I mean, some of the things that we do are like our meeting that we had last night, a counseling meeting to help parents know, you know, what it is they need to do to support their student. Part of it is our communication with parents, and I work very closely with our staff to make sure that when kids are struggling, that they're communicating home with parents. Part of this program, in fact, and we've already done a whole lot of brainstorming about it because we're so excited about it, especially kids who struggle a lot, and we assign them to an academic support class. What an academic support class would look like is not just a study hall. We're talking about developing a format where students sit one-on-one with that academic support teacher once every 10 days and create a 10-day plan of how they're going to improve over the next 10 days, and then they review it every 10 days with the teacher. And we figured that every 10 days, the teacher is more than able to get to the 25 to 30 students in their academic support class to sit down one-on-one with them and have time in class to talk about study skills and provide curriculum for how to better study. So, I mean, there are a lot more opportunities in a schedule like this to really focus in on that, and then have that academic support teacher be a point of contact. And the way, you know, with the Google applications that we have is making that 10-day plan be a form that then feeds into a spreadsheet that automatically kicks out an email of that plan to the parent, the counselor, the teachers, all of the students' teachers, all at once. That form that they fill out turns into a document that says, this is my 10-day plan, communicates it home to the parents, and then that academic support teacher becomes that point of contact. We don't have the time to do that right now, but this really opens the opportunity for us to do that.
And would they use Naviance that we heard about last night?
Yes.
To communicate that and to get that out?
Absolutely. I mean,
Exciting program.
Yes.
I know my district uses it also, but I'm not really involved with the high schools.
Right.
So I haven't had much to do with it. So it looks great.
I really like the concept. Makes a lot of sense.
That's another thing my daughter would go, why did I get to do that?
E3.
Okay. Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burbank.
Item E is a future board workshop, and
No, we're not texting, we're looking at our calendar.
yeah, I tried to reach out to try and get calendars and do it, but it just wasn't working. There's no easy way to do this,
No,
so I
it's-
guess we all have to pull out our calendars. And actually, since then.
I gave you my calendar, Matt.
Yeah, yours was easy, you're right. February became very difficult for me all of a sudden. I have almost every day I have stuff in February, except for the 9th. Everybody, how's the 9th? Everybody got stuff on the 9th?
Good.
At night you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
evening. You can do it? Nice.
Oh, wait, no, I'm just kidding.
Almost kind of, oh wait, no, Colin and I were actually going to dinner that night, I'm sorry. Nice.
David and I are going shopping.
You do it?
9th will work for me. I'll make it work.
Dr. Nicholas, how about you?
I'm good to go.
No way. That's awesome.
That was easy.
Yeah, I thought you did. It's like the only night that I have in February. Okay, perfect. Okay, and, oh. Oh, is it?
You might be right.
Wait,
We have 2 3-day weekends or a 4-day weekend? 3 days. Okay. See, my district went to the 4-day this
We're
year.
not allowed to do it on a district holiday? And if we don't
Well-
need staff, do we need staff? Oh, I guess they'd have to be. You're right.
we'll have to bring in the
Let
superintendent.
let
Yeah,
Kirk have
that's
his holiday.
neither here nor there. I'm good on I can do it.
Oh. Yes, because that evening, my son will be playing in our gym against our boys.
Oh, so that is not a district holiday. Ninth is a holiday.
Good try, Matt.
Yeah, well, I tried.
So what's the next thing that's free in your calendar?
August. CSBA took up a bunch of stuff in February.
Legislation time.
How about March?
Throw out a date. Silence is not good.
Shane, you said your Thursdays are no good, right?
Thursdays are definitely out. Unless we can be done, unless we start after 9 o'clock.
How about the 11th? What about Wednesday?
Yep.
I'm good.
It appears that we have a DAC meeting scheduled. Is that still, we can change it? Okay.
That would be great. Mambo? 11th.
I guess I should give the proviso that I have no idea when the, my committee meetings are.
Exactly. I don't either.
But let's go with that and try to work around it.
That's 2 months out.
And that will be 7 o'clock.
Unless you guys can do earlier. 6:30, is that too early?
I can make it by 6:30, traffic willing. You know what happens every time I say I can show up early.
Yeah, I know. That's for
The
everybody.
freeway's on fire.
Is 6 early enough for you?
Yeah.
I mean, too early? Okay, 6:30. 6:30 it is.
On the 11th.
March 11th.
3.
Got plenty of time between now and then to change it. And the purpose of that is just, which actually I wanted to mention, is in the past, we always use that as goal setting. With the introduction of the LCAP, we kind of do that in the beginning of the school year, or summertime leading up to the beginning of the school year. So I think we'll use this as an opportunity to check in on our goals, check in with the superintendent. This is the kind of middle point, prior to his evaluation. And also be an opportunity for when we have new board members like we do to kind of talk about board protocol, revisit the bylaws, and see if there's any changes that we want to bring forward. March.
Okay, March 11th it is.
Very good. Thank you all for being able to be flexible. Okay, and presentation, health education.
So we have Dr. Gill, Mrs. Bustatil, and Mr. Faubert come forward and present our evening's presentation.
Good evening, respected governing board. Mr. President and Dr. Nicholas. Mr. Provera, Ms. Bustatil and I are going to be discussing and presenting to you the health education in Lammersville Unified School District. Health education content standards were passed in 2008. At that time, Assembly bill passed, that was AB 689, and according to that Assembly bill, the districts were not required, but these health education standards were recommended for the districts to follow if they wish to. However, there were two mandates according to the ed codes. One was that in 7th or 8th grade, the school districts needed to make sure that we provide parent education to the students. Also, between 7th through 12th grade, we needed to provide AIDS prevention instruction once in middle school and once in high school. And these are the content standards that you're seeing on this chart, the health content standards that are recommended by the state. Historically in our district, we have followed the ed code and have provided the health education at 7th grade and 8th grade. Now we have also added 9th grade. According to our board policy on sexual health and HIV/AIDS prevention instruction, we follow our board policy, and our curriculum is aligned to the board policy. Hard copies of 7th and 8th grade curriculum are on that table. And then Mr. Ferrer is going to share a link with us for the online curriculum that is for 9th grade as well. One of the requirements per our board policy and the ed code is that we need to provide parent information, parent notification in advance. So for the high school, we send a letter home to all 9th grade parents in August. For 7th and 8th grade students, since that curriculum does not get taught until April or May, mostly May, we send a letter home in March. That letter, you have copies of that letter for middle school and high school, both right there. That letter specifically is a notification letter. It does give the parents an opportunity to opt out. And they also can opt out from parts of the curriculum, not necessarily everything if they wish. And if their parent wants to have an opt-out, we provide an alternate placement, an alternate assignment for that student. And the curriculum is available for the parents to preview in the office along with the parent meetings that happen for the parents as well. And on the first page also, which is also sitting, all these documents that I just mentioned, the parent letters, and the AB 689 information about frequently asked questions regarding health education are also sitting on that table, for the materials table for anybody to review if you wish to. What we are going to learn today, what we're going to present today, is the health education that we provide to our students follows the required ed code, the board policies, and also it aligns with the parts of the recommended health state standards. And Ms. Busuttil is going to talk about the actual curriculum that we use in 7th and 8th grade, along with the content standards and as well as the instruction that happens.
If I have a question on that slide, do you want me to wait till the end, or can I just ask you? It says that parent letter and curriculum is available for preview in the office. Is there a reason why they have to come into the office?
They do provide a parent night, parent evening, but if a parent is unable to come to the parent meeting, they leave it in the office for 2 weeks minimum. So a parent says, I was not able to come to the meeting, but I still want to preview the curriculum. So that is an additional opportunity for parents to review the curriculum if they're unable to attend the meeting.
I would echo, I think what his real question is why is that the only method? Why can't we make it available online? We have a website, we have links, we have ways to protect information if that's what we're concerned about. Sorry, Noel. Why? And I think it's a fair question. I work every day. If I miss the one meeting that you guys are offering for me to get to, and I want to have this curriculum, I also work every day and can't make it to your office. Why isn't it? Can't we have we have the high school portal? Can't we have a portal set up or someplace set up that this is available to our parents?
Yeah, we would have to scan all the materials over there and we can put it online. That's fine.
Right, I was asking a question. You were being a little more forceful than I was.
That's just my perspective. I mean, previewing
Well
the
said,
office.
Shane.
The caveat I would give to that is if it's
The
not
copyright,
copyrighted.
so like some
Oh,
of the
yeah,
media-
we're
If
allowed
they're
to.
books, yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly.
At
we're
the
allowed
elementary
to.
school, it's books. At the high school, it's online.
That's what I was going to say. All curriculum is not online.
Correct.
And we can't scan in a
No,
binder from a
but-
publisher.
And that would be the
Put it on our
why.
If we have handouts that we're giving
Yeah.
and we're making copies of, I don't know why that copy can't be an electronic copy that we could share?
Those actually can be provided to the parents. That's really not a problem. The issue usually is these kind of videos that parents want to watch.
The copyright rules
Yeah,
override
yeah.
that. That's
So-
not what I'm talking about.
Correct.
Got it.
I'm not saying to
Yeah.
copy a textbook or anything like that.
Good evening. Just to give a little bit of a backstory, when I first started with our school district in 2004, at that point in time, for the first 3 years that I was here, we only taught PSI in 8th grade. And then after that school year, we decided that we wanted to expand the program, and PSI became a 7th grade curriculum, and the family life education curriculum was introduced. I would say it was the 2007-2008 was the first school year where we had PSI, postponing sexual involvement, for 7th grade, and the family life education, or FLE, for 8th grade students. Okay, so our postponing sexual involvement it goes hand in hand with, right now our current science curriculum is a CPO, and it talks about anatomy and physiology. So that's the first part of it. It talks about delaying sexual activity, and then also helping students to understand the role that social media, now we have all the different social media in regards to Twitter and all of those different things, how those impact their decisions in regards to sexual activity. The PSI focuses on students recognizing when they're being peer pressured or pressured socially from media, song lyrics, television shows, all those types of innuendos that we may not think of on a day-to-day basis, like how they're constantly inundated with that in their environment, and how to recognize that, and tools to kind of combat those pressures that they might be feeling on a day-to-day basis. So just really quickly, it's about 6 sessions, and it can kind of go depending on, because sometimes the class discussions can get pretty, lively, and some activities take a little bit longer than you might anticipate, but it is technically 6 sessions. So the first session is talking about why students become sexually active, and talking about separating the myth from fact. So for example, everyone's doing it. Is that really true, or is that not true? And having those discussions with students, sometimes people say things that's not actually true. And then also other ways, as students are maturing, wanting to show affection is a natural part, but realizing that there's lots of other steps to show and other ways to show affection, as opposed to, participating in sexual activity. And then day 2 is social pressures. So I kind of mentioned that a little bit, from school, media, television, all of those different things. And then also recognizing their own internal pressures. We're talking about our teenagers, and they're wanting to feel more grown up and to have independence. And sometimes the way that they kind of see that happening is through some of those sexual activity, either conversations or acts themselves. And then the 3rd and 4th sessions are about peer pressure and identifying and practicing ways to say no in situations that make them uncomfortable. And then also having clear ideas about what their personal boundaries are in alignment with what their family expectations are in regards to how they conduct themselves. And the 5th day is learning assertive techniques. So yes, we've identified situations, and now this is like the practical application. If you were, someone said this to you, how would you respond to this? If you were put in this situation, what would your response be to that? And so just to kind of go through, and in the PSI and the 8th grade curriculum, it's talking about making sure that students, they have adults that they're able to ask questions, they're teachers that are teaching the curriculum, but basically there's some questions and, many questions that we do refer them to go back and talk to their parents, their families about what's best for them and what it looks like in their household. The 8th grade family life education. So when we first started to have this curriculum for our students, we were sent to 2 different trainings at the county offices. And one was put on by the American Red Cross, and the other one was by a gentleman named Steve Gardner. And so what came out of that is myself and another teacher at that time, we created we'll say a combination of all of those different things into one binder that kind of took all the parts of the different programs and other things that were recommended by either the American Red Cross or Steve Gardner, who presented to us, and created one binder for teachers to use as a reference. So we were doing rigorous curriculum design way back then. So basically, the emphasis on the family life education is getting students to kind of have a perspective of how their now decisions affect or impact their later decisions and opportunities that are available to them moving forward. And, you know, our emphasis is that we want our students to stay safe and stay healthy as much as possible. So we want to give them as much education as we can in that area. So day one is just talking about the ground rules, you know, acknowledging that. So for example, myself as an 8th grade teacher, you know, my students and I had a very joking type of relationship. You know, we can kind of say things, but this would not be one of those situations where that would be okay. You know, it's not a light conversation. So establishing, you know, the things that we talked about in those sessions were meant to kind of stay in the classroom, respecting people's privacy, not asking personal questions of, you know, either classmates, not sharing personal information, and kind of also introducing vocabulary. You know, it's one of those kind of almost like icebreakers, I would say. Students kind of want to, you know, so I know this word or I know that word, or what does this mean? And to kind of vet the different things that students are interested about knowing, things that they think that they know, and information that they would like to have at the conclusion of the sessions. And then also to answer or address any of the concerns, because students most often want the information, but they are apprehensive. You know, they're kind of like nervous about the awkward conversations that they see might be coming their way. Their teacher that was just teaching them algebra, let's say quadratic equations, is now talking to them about genitalia, you know, so it's a different relationship at that point in time. Then day two, we have a video, which, unfortunate title, but it's called Puberty, the Great Adventure. It actually is a pretty good video.
Unfortunate title is a good word for it.
I mean, it's terrible, and it has a little bit of cheesy music, and I always tell the kids beforehand, it kind of helps to break the ice a little bit. But basically, it has about 8 different students at least that are interviewed about the changes that they've gone to. Some are just at the beginning of their puberty cycle. Some are at the tail end of it. You know, he has facial hair and talking about what that means. Also recognizing that everyone's body changes at different times. Some people might have an attraction to someone else, others may not. And both of those things are perfectly normal. And one's not better than the other. Everyone is different. And then there's also an anatomy and physiology overview, talking about the female and male genitalia at that point in time, and a discussion of the terms that would be used throughout the lessons, which is medical terms, no slang terms. Day 3 is myths and stereotypes regarding persons infected with HIV. So also understanding that people, especially, I mean, now it's getting to be a little bit different, but people contracted HIV in ways that were not because they were promiscuous or drug users. You know, before there was certain, you know, safeguards in hospitals, you know, people contracted different STDs and diseases through blood transfusions. And also, you know, what does that look like? What do those people look like? Can I just look at someone and say, hey, they're perfectly healthy, you know, I can go ahead and have a relationship? Is that a safe assumption either? And then also, you know, conversely, you can't make assumptions about people just based on appearance, whether it's good or bad. Also about day 4, HIV disease, effects on the human body, transmission, myths and facts. So, you know, can it be transmitted if I shake hands with someone and their hand is a little bit sweaty? Can I get transmitted through, you know, a kiss on the lips, you know, a more intimate kiss? And so talking about all those different conversations for the students. And then day 5 is sexually transmitted diseases going beyond HIV, so gonorrhea, chlamydia, and then knowing ways that we can prevent or help them to stay safe and healthy. And the most important part, I would say, talking about the sexually transmitted diseases, and we try to be very direct with the students of knowing what treatments are available like cure-wise, and what things cannot. You might be able to treat the symptoms, but forever, you know, that you might be infected with whatever that illness is. Day 6 kind of goes back and it spirals back to some of the PSI components, which is basically ways to postpone sexual involvement and reduce your own personal risk. So again, recognizing the pressures that that are placed on students from the media and their peers, and again, practicing those techniques and those strategies as they learn to 7th grade students. Day 7 would be the effectiveness of contraceptive methods. While we tell students that abstinence is the 100% effective way to not contract an STD or become pregnant, we also do talk to them about different methods of contraceptives, ranging from male-female condoms, diaphragms, an IUD, morning after pills. All of those things are talked about, as well as what is their percentages that they are effective or not effective. And then approximate like costs with them, where they could find them, what does it mean? You know, they might have heard, you know, certain words before about a diaphragm, but they don't know what that means. So what does that mean? Even the combination, you know, of contraceptions, you know, for example, you wouldn't want to combine a male condom with a female condom because that would be a no-go situation. It's not going to work that way. And then the last thing that we do talk with them about is the safely surrendered baby law, and pointing out that at hospitals, firehouses, where babies that are delivered and someone is not quite sure what to do, rather than, you know, putting it somewhere where the baby is not safe, where is a safe place where they can deliver a baby that was perhaps sooner than expected. Again, day 8 is again spiraling back to peer and medium refusing skills practice. And then day 9 is community resources and personal contacts. So let's say that a student has, you know, decided that they want to become sexually active. What are their resources that they have available to them? What are personal contracts for themselves, like the boundaries that they will or will not pass? And if they find themselves in a situation to where they think they might have contracted an STD, where could they go to get tested, and what does that look like? And then day 10 is the Miracle of Life video, which if you guys are my age, you probably saw this one. Okay, and so this one, the best way for me to describe it is like an internal view of the human body. So I don't know what the technical term is for when you have an internal camera. That's what it kind of shows. What does that look like from the internal view? Like, what do the fallopian tubes look like? What does the uterus look like? All of those different parts. And the conclusion to that video is a live vaginal delivery. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for me?
No, we saw the video, thank you.
I have not only seen the video, but I've seen it live 7 times. Sorry, that probably wasn't appropriate, but.
7 is
So at the high school kind of follows up on the curriculum that's taught in 7th and 8th grade. The materials that we use are available on our Canvas learning management system. It's online coursework. That's the textbook that we use, and it's from Blended Schools, which we adopted a year and a half ago when we decided to go with Blended Schools. It's a health class. It is not a sexual education class. It is a health course that is a semester long, and 2 of the units have units about sexual health. One is about sexually transmitted diseases. One is about HIV and AIDS. The rest of the health course does cover relationships. It covers nutrition and other things. So you'll notice that there is a link there, and it is case sensitive. So if you're ever interested, you could go to that link, and our Canvas course is live online. You can go take a look right now at what our whole health course curriculum looks like online. We also use the website for the Centers for Disease Control, and we use the website called teenshealth.org. We do talk about contraceptives and abstinence. We talk about the different methods of contraception, the percentages effective that they are. We also emphasize the benefits of abstinence. and that abstinence is the only 100% effective way to prevent unwanted pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases. As you might imagine, at the high school level, they become a little more curious and they want to talk about hot topics during this time, and they do come up. When those do come up, our response to those questions are talking about the clinical or medical definition of them. We talk about some things being very controversial. If it ever has a question comes across that talks about, is this right? Is this the right thing to do? Is this the right decision to make? We talk again with students about how important it is to communicate with their families when it comes to value judgments about their activity that they are engaging in. So we encourage them to talk to their parents in an open and honest way about the concerns that they may have when it comes to that. We currently do not have outside speakers come into the classroom. If we do in the future, it would be something that was communicated to parents, and we would make sure that any outside organizations that come in to speak understand that they follow the same health guidelines that the state of California has put forward, and that we don't present it in any other way than what's been approved by board policy, ed code, and the state curriculum. Community resources are discussed about places that they can go in surrounding cities for support if they need it, as well as the support that we have in our district. We do have a counselor who's full-time on our school campus, and she is a resource to them. If they have problems and they need to discuss those with a counselor, they can go to her. We do employ school psychologists as well in the district who can assist with that. Students are not required to participate in the unit if the parent does not want them to. A parent letter is sent home, and parents can opt students out if they choose to. They can choose to just grant permission for certain portions of the sexual health units or the entire thing. The letter and the materials you have, and they're also available on the table over there. One additional thing about our letter, because we're the tech school, is in the letter there's a link for parents to submit their opt-out online if they need to. It protects privacy of students so that they don't have to come in and say, here's the letter that opts me out in front of everybody. And so that's available in our letter as well. If they do opt out, the students work in a separate setting and they work on alternate health topics. They go more in depth in maybe some of the nutrition, some of the exercise units, and they're given work that they can do in an alternate environment. And that's all I have.
Questions from the board? Thank you, everyone, for the presentations. This is in response to questions from the community, so I appreciate everyone taking the time to put this together. Are there any public comment at this time on the matter? Again, 3 minutes public comment. You can't, it's not a question and answer session. So if you have further questions, please contact the administration. They'd be more than happy to answer any kind of questions for you. Okay. Calendar. 2 items. Monday, January 19th is Martin Luther King Day. District facilities will be closed. And Wednesday, January 21st is our next board meeting. And also, we're going to add on there what did I say the date was for the facility? The 26th of January is going to be the next facility committee meeting. And I believe that is it.
I move we adjourn to closed session.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Or adjourn to closed session.
Just remembered that at the health meeting last night, I said I would reach out to